the trees are crying aloud and ships are tossed at sea. By on the highway, low and loud. By on the highway goes he. By at the gallop he goes, and then by he comes back at the gallop again. Now, Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, it's a short poem called Windy Nights by Robert Louis Stevenson from his Child's Garden of Verses. That was one of my childhood memories that will always stay with me because it aroused in me and for me all the adventures of life, all the mysteries that we don't know very well when we are a child. Think back to when you were 6, 7, 8, maybe 9 or 10. Think about what was in that closet when you were trying to go to sleep, or what was under the bed, or what happened when you woke up in the middle of the night and the wind was blowing strong and the rain was coming down and you looked out the window and you saw a strange face. I know I saw many of them. I saw the creatures, I saw the people of the books that I read, the things that I grew up with. Another book by Robert Louis Stevenson was Treasure Island, the adventures of Jim Hawkins, the cabin boy, with his pirate friend and all the other characters, in a wonderful story that kept the whole world alive for you, kept you wondering, could you be on such an adventure onto a desert island hunting for pirate treasure? Another of my favorite authors as a child was James Fenimore Cooper. Now, you may not have heard of James Fenimore Cooper, especially you ladies, because it's really stories that boys read. The Deerslayer, the Pathfinder, the Last of the Mohicans. I would wake up in the middle of the night and I would look out the dark window and imagine an Iroquois warrior standing in the window with his war paint on, with his tomahawk in his hand, ready to split my skull in two. And it would scare the bejeebers out of me and keep me awake the rest of the night. But it was part of the adventure of being a child. It was part of the fun and the glory. And I followed the Uncas and Chingachgook and their adventures through those stories, along with the Deerslayer. There's something about the books that we read as children, the things that filled our lives, that I know each and every one of you is probably thinking back to some of those stories that you remember. I know my daughter read virtually every one of the books that they wrote about Nancy Drew and all of her adventures. And there were a lot of them. I think one year she read 35 or 40 Nancy Drew books. And there was still another 35 or 40 to go. The boys often read the Bobbsey twins or the Hardy Boys. There were so many stories of childhood, so many things that bring back memory, old memory, things that we wonder about. Were these stories real? They were real to us. Could they have been real in total? Another of the authors I liked was Washington Irving, who told us about, Ichabod Crane and the Headless Horseman. Now that Headless Horseman was kind of like my adventurer here in Windy Nights. The two of them kind of fit together for me. It didn't tell us that this rider was headless or anything like that, but I always kind of imagined that. And if you ever saw the movies they made that really brought the visual imagery of the Headless Horseman, Ichabod Crane, and the characters in the story to life, you recognize that these were characters that could fill your life with just glorious adventure and make you wonder what you would be when you grew up and what kind of adventures you would have, what kind of lives you would live. And as we've grown up, most of us have lost that sense of adventure that the stories have given us. We've settled down to some level of mundane living. Hopefully, though, there's still a sense of adventure inside you somewhere. And hopefully you take advantage of that sort of thing. Travel to faraway places. Or just travel in your mind and your memory to those faraway places and have your own adventures. Or have adventures within your own families. If you have children and grandchildren, read these stories to them. Give them that sense of adventure. The feeling that they could be something more than just an everyday individual, that they could be something beyond the 9-to-5 worker who's sort of satisfied with what he does, but somebody who's enchanted by what he does and strives to make more of his or her world and strives to make it a world of enjoyment, of fun. They say you only go around once. You should go around with all the glory and all the history and all the adventure you can. These are some of my childhood memories. I hope those of yours are as exciting as mine were. They come back to me regularly. Sometimes I kind of wish I was back there again. Madam Toastmaster.